Hey, apologies for the delay, citizens. Justiguy has returned, so on and so forth. And yeah, back to it. This was, oh god, I don't like it when I just like I think I have a flashback to this screen. Oh wow, that was like a wham. Anyway, this was the first time I'd ever woke with such clarity. It was 5:59, just moments before my alarm would go off. I was amazed at the precision of my internal clock. I had made preparations for the next day of school before I went to bed. I changed quickly and descended to the deserted lower floor. It appeared that my mom was still asleep. Neither breakfast nor lunch was ready. Yesterday, I just unilaterally declared that I would be leaving early today, so it couldn't be helped. I slathered jam on some bread and topped it with instant cocoa. Just as I was finishing up breakfast, Mom rose groggily from her slumber. My, Kate, you're up early. Is there some sort of school event? Not really. Answering bluntly, I picked up my bag and stood after stuffing 2 slices of bread down my throat. You're leaving already? What about lunch? If you don't wait a bit, I can't make it. If I waited for her to make my lunch, then it would end up being the same time as usual. If I did that, it would raise the chances of me running into Rena and Mion on the way. Yes, from today onwards, I was going to school alone. I'll be fine for today. Then what will you do for lunch? I'll slip out and buy some bread or something at the store. Really? Then here's some lunch money. Be sure to bring me back the receipt. I took the 1,000 yen bill from Mom and slipped it into my pocket. It's pretty early, is they're not gotten up for this early as well? No, just me. Did you tell Lena that you're leaving early? I have no reason to tell her every little detail now, do I? Finding it difficult answering the onslaught of questions, I made an annoyed face. Tell Rena that I went ahead when she comes. Hey, Keiichi, wait! It's not that I didn't trust my parents, I couldn't rely on them. They couldn't help me. I could only hope that they didn't get involved. It was safer that way. My mom's annoying voice was cut off by a slam at the slam of the door. For the first time since I moved here, I headed down the road to school alone. Up until now, I had always walked down the same path at the same time each day. So I always met with the same people at the same places. But today was different. I didn't meet the people I would normally, and nobody was at the places where I would have normally met them. Of course, Nana wasn't in the spot where we usually met, and there wasn't anyone at the spot where we would have met up with Mio. The length of the trees' shadows, the morning air, and the brightness of the sun was a completely different type of morning from what I was used to. Without a doubt, it felt strange. It left me with the impression that I had destroyed the illusion Hinamizawa had set up for me before it had enough time to prepare all of the props it needed to deceive me. Why, Gage, so early today? Is everyone meeting early this morning? The person who called out to me was someone we always passed by as they were taking a walk along the edge of the fields. Her name was, I forgot. Of course, this wasn't the spot where we usually passed each other. I woke up early today, so I thought it would be a good change of pace. That's all. I threw out a random excuse. What about Nana-chan and Mion-chan? Are you by yourself today? Well, yeah, I was being asked the same type of questions my mom was asking, so I answered them in the same uninteresting, vague manner. It wasn't funny being asked where Nana was each time I passed by someone. But maybe it was to be expected. It was because for so long we were always together so amicably. Even I felt that if I let my guard down, we could still be Stop it, Keiichi. Don't think about that anymore. You spent all day yesterday thinking about how dangerous it was to go soft, didn't you? car horn blared out from nowhere. Even though I was walking, lost in thought, that horn was way too close. A mechanical behemoth barreled at me from behind, catching me completely off guard. By the time I turned around, the van's hulking chassis was almost on top of me. I'd seen plenty of cars veer to the opposite shoulder to avoid pedestrians, but this car was doing the opposite. It felt like there was somebody on the opposite shoulder, and the van was swerving in my direction to avoid them. That blissfully ignorant train of thought delayed me, realizing something much, much more important. That large mass was hurtling right at me. Was it going to hit me? The inside of my head instantly flooded with a painfully cold liquid. In that moment, the scene before me, no, time itself, had frozen. In the silence of that frozen moment, I compared the van so close that I had no way to dodge it, and my body, the upper half, twisted awkwardly in order to look behind me. There was no way I could dive out of the way in my current position. If I lost focus now, this moment would unpause, and I would probably be plowed over, caught in this silly pose. I bent my upper body over towards the patty by the side of the road. If I bent far enough, I'd get away with just being hit by the side view mirror. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, the temporal stasis was shattered by the deafening sound of the van. The side mirror struck my shoulder, sending me spinning off the air. I literally just remembered something I need to it's not related to this. It's about a phone call I actually have to make tomorrow. I just need to just make a note to myself. Sorry about that. I know that is very what is the word, immersion breaking, but I don't know why that just occurred to me out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere. I apologize for that. Anyway, locked in my contorted the side mirror struck my shoulder, sending me spinning off through the air like a top, locked in my contorted position. Ooh, splash. And tumbling through the air, I crashed into the muddy patty by the side of the road. My entire body was soiled, drenched, but the choice I had made in that instant was unmistakably for the best. I was covered in mud, but when the alternative was being hit by the car, it was the closest I could be to being unscathed. Rising out from the padding, I had enough in me to glare over at the stopped van and yell profanities at the driver. Not sure if he was able to see me, but the van sped off suddenly. Wait, damn it! Was that what they call a hit and run? Wasn't it? No, this was what they call a hit and run, wasn't it? I couldn't help but continue yelling out profanities. Get a little too hot. The disgrace from being covered in mud hurt me more than any physical wounds. I slogged through the muddy patty and made my way back onto the road. This is a crime, goddammit. Shit, I'll track you down and sue you. If I go looking for a van, I'm sure I'll find it in this little village. The path I was on had rice paddies on either side, and it had become so narrow that one car could barely fit through. There wasn't a place you could tear full speed down in a car, let alone pass by pedestrians. Not only was it a narrow road, but the car just now was closer to my side of the road than the other when it went past me. Even as I cursed, I was desperately trying to suppress the dark cloud roiling up within me. This wasn't just a hit and run. That car, just now, was trying to run me over, wasn't it? Thinking back, I did feel like there had been a car creeping up on me slowly for a while. That's right, as soon as I had parted ways with that person taking a walk, I had that feeling the whole time. If it had wanted to pass me, then it had no shortage of chances. Normally, I would have felt suspicious and turned around sooner. Lost in thought, and now was kicking myself for not realizing it was there sooner. And then when the path became narrow and there was no one else in sight, it floored it. If I had hesitated for even a moment, the result would have been no laughing matter. The adrenaline rush from nearly being run over subsided, and the realization of just how terrifying the preceding events were sunk in. There was no doubt about it. That van was intentionally trying to hit me. A cold, viscous sweat seeped from my scalp and slid down my back before dribbling off. I struggled to avoid falling into a panic. There was still the possibility that this was just an accident. Down, Keiichi. But also, don't be so naive, Keiichi. Being that lax will get you killed next time. You need to always be on your toes. Don't give them any openings. If my enemy was really out to kill me, the next time they would use a more reliable method. If that time came and I was acting like I was now, I being covered in mud was the price I had paid for my own naivety. Covered in mud, but without injury, not even a sprain. I guess this is what you would call the silver lining. I began walking again, this time cautiously. I wouldn't even show a hint of carelessness. I had suspected only Nana and the others up until now. No, it was because I had suspected them that I had believed there were no other enemies. Ooishi-san had said so, didn't he? There was the possibility that all the families of the village were involved. Was I really mired so deeply into this situation that I had no choice but to try and carry on as usual? Wouldn't it be safest just to hole myself up in my house? But the moment I abandoned my regular routine, everyone around me would abandon theirs as well. That was just too horrifying of a thought. I recalled the tales Ooishi-san told me of when Hinamizawa was still called Onikakushi. A frightening tale of an entire village of demons hunting their prey, surrounding them and eating them alive. One must not interfere with demons. One must pretend not to be it. The enemy were numerous, all the village family. The villagers, with their unwavering faith in the curse, would do nothing to help me. Strong, sudden flash of sunshine made me slightly dizzy. I had no idea what was going on anymore. When I suspected it was the work of man, I would catch a glimpse of Oyashiro-sama's curse. And when I suspected it was Oyashiro-sama's curse, someone would poke their head out. What was coincidence? What was intentional? Who was my enemy? Who was just a bystander? No, what I really, truly wanted to know was, how did I end up with a real bullseye painted on my back? Eventually, an answer in a form I could understand will appear. I don't care when that will happen, because until then, I cannot die. It alone fueled my resolve to fight and will to keep me alive, and will keep me alive. I remembered seeing the metal bat in the gym's storage shed, but there was a padlock on the door barring my entry. At the very least, I wanted to get my hands on it before everyone else arrived at school. I circled around the school grounds impatiently. But all I could find were things like pieces of lumber, nothing I could bring into the classroom easily. Then I had an epiphany. I should search inside the classroom. If it was something in the classroom to begin with, then there wouldn't be a problem. I could tell that everyone's indoor shoes were still inside their lockers. Good thing I came early. No one else was here yet. I wondered, what could I find in the classroom? I didn't think I could find an especially effective weapon like a bat, but it couldn't be helped at this point. Until the gym storage shed was open, I needed to find a substitute. A lingering hint of naivety whispered that there was no way I'd be attacked at school. But such soft ideas no longer protect me. To think that they were slowly making their way into parts of my life that I had once thought impenetrable. In the worst case, my own house might not be safe anymore. That was an incredibly frightening thought. But I believed that not considering the worst case scenario would have been even more frightening. Anyway, I will survive. So long as I lived. I will definitely be able to escape this labyrinth of nonsense. Definitely. My exploration of the classroom came to an impasse. That much was to be expected. There was no way there would be anything that could be called a weapon in the classroom. In case of emergency, there was probably nothing I could do but swing my own chair around. Ah! My gaze landed on the lockers that had come to be used for personal storage. The locker that Mion used to store her pile of games was among them. There was one for each person in the class, all lined up. Of course, there was one for me as well. Oh yeah, there was supposed to still be a tracksuit in my locker. Seeing me covered in mud would be strange. I should go change later. First, I needed a weapon. If one of my classmates came, it would be hard to rummage through all the lockers. I swiftly began opening the lockers one by one. They were mostly just filled with things like gym clothes, personal items, and umbrellas. Umbrella. No, I do remember that one anime, Another. An umbrella could be pretty deadly in the right hand. I couldn't find anything better than this would have to be my weapon. I was about to give up on finding anything decent when I opened a locker that held exactly what I wanted. It was, without a doubt, a metal bat. It was well worn and pretty beaten up, but there was no doubt it was usable. In that locker that reeked of mold, there also hung a baseball uniform. It was probably the locker of a student in a peewee league or something like that. If that was the case, then he'd probably ask for it back. At that time, I could hear the voices of the children, shuffling their way noisily in from the hallway. Amongst them, I could make out Rika-chan and Satoko. Good morning. My, you're quite early this morning, Keiichi-san. I nonchalantly hid the bat I was holding behind my back. What is with your outfit? You're covered in mud. Yeah, I had a little incident. I'm going to change now, so cut me some slack. With that said, I began taking off my clothes. Satoko began to blush, just as I expected her to. Cake Akudori! Changing in front of a lady? Have you no tact at all? I would think that a lady staring at someone who was changing would be the one lacking in tact. There was no changing room for boys, so just deal with it. As Satoko feigned disgust, she went into the hall, still blushing. Conversely, Rika-chan continued to stare at me, preparing to change. If Rika-chan is a lady as well, then I don't think it would be appropriate for you to be watching. I'm not a lady, so it's fine. She deliberately pouted and looked at me with upturned eyes. Then starting now, you're a lady. If I'm a lady, then I suppose I must. Rika-chan, appearing to be satisfied with being considered a lady, made her way to join Satoko in the hallway. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, Rika-chan stopped suddenly and turned back towards me. Are you going to start playing baseball? It seems that Rika-chan had noticed the bat. Yeah, just, I was feeling a bit out of shape, so I thought I'd just try practicing my swing. I think it's wonderful you're taking care of your health. She was talking like an old lady, despite her appearance. After saying that, Rika-chan started to leave again, but stopped and looked back at me once more. Please don't lose that bat. It seemed she already knew I took it out of someone's locker. There was no name on the locker door. I didn't know whose bat it was, but I would be borrowing it until they complained. It wouldn't be for long, just until the gym storage shed was open. After quickly changing into the tracksuit, I checked the time. Still had plenty of time before class began because I am staying so early. I took the bat in one hand and went out into the schoolyard. That was, of course, to practice my swing. I needed to make it known I would always have a bat on me so I could practice my swing. At some point, the sunlight had become even stronger. Disregarding my classmates as they made their way to school, I took my position in the shadow of the school building. I wasn't the academic type, and I wasn't much of an athlete either. I might get muscle pain if I just suddenly started swinging. I should at least start out with some warm-up. I doubt anyone would think I was doing something out of the ordinary, which was the exact opposite of my actual mental. I gripped the bat and swung lightly. The bat was by no means light. The weight would make it a reliable weapon when I needed it to be. Of course, I could only pray that the moment I needed to use this as a weapon would never come. Just carrying it around could deter attacks against me. At least that's what I hoped. Kei-chan, what are you doing? Being bombarded by such a hysterical voice, I jumped. Whoa, Keiichi-kun, are you on the baseball team? The baseball team? It was Anna and Mion. I was surprised to hear you went off ahead. What are you doing, Kei-chan? Can't you tell by looking? I'm practicing my swing. For the championship. You can say it's part of my diet if you want. Diet? Kei-chan, are you really that fat? Bet you didn't know. I actually have a beer belly. It's plump and jiggles. Plump and jiggles. Rena, you don't have to imagine something weird like that. To disrupt Rena from imagining something vulgar, I ruffled her hair messily. Well then, hope you make it to regionals at least. This old man will cheer you on. Regionally speaking, it seems that Oshima High is pretty strong. They say they're southpaw. Oh, planning far in advance. Mr. Ryukishi, Kameda-kun is amazing. Good luck. Seems they've made me out as some kind of local prodigy, but oh well. Well, if I really did make it to the championship, it would be a cinch. After all, I'd be the pitcher and catcher. I'd pitch the ball, then run past the ball I just threw and change over to being the catcher in a burst of super incredible explosive speed. I laughed dryly at the ludicrous image. Coming back to my senses, I smashed the bat against the ground. Damn it. Why am I laughing? I pounded the ground over and over. With each impact, the reverberation traveled through the bat, stung my hands. They made me smile like that. I'll don't allow anyone close to me. Don't trust anyone, no matter how many times I tell myself that. If they made me smile like that, I already knew quite well that they were demons dwelling in my smiling friends. But I just couldn't believe it. That kind of split personality really exists? Like how Rina confessed to the doctor. Are they simply being possessed by Oyashiro-sama? In other words, did a supernatural being like Oyashiro-sama really exist? Was it possessing everyone to try and kill me? Yeah, that would be wonderful. If only everyone were actually my friends all along, and everything was all just Oyashiro-sama's fault. Damn fool Maebara Keiichi! Come on now! I yelled out, drawing all the power from the pit of my stomach and raised the bat violently into the air. Stop being so soft! It's hard for me, soft, to not yell the line, but it's just past midnight, so that's not happening. Every impact, my weakness was being beaten down. Oh, that's good. Smash, forget. Smash, don't be soft. Smash, know your enemy. The enemy! Smash, till I'd let them kill me. My shoulders heaving up and down from my ragged breathing. I heard the first bell ring just as I calmed down. I gasped with a sudden realization. That was the final bell. As I felt the tension drain from me, I let out a deep breath. My mind was in a muddled state for much of the entire day. I didn't feel like I was awake, but it didn't feel like I was asleep either. I couldn't say it felt especially comfortable, but I felt a kind of relief that the sanctity of the school part of my daily life had yet to be violated. How long would I have to keep on living like this? I could only grit my teeth and bear with it as this living hell slowly gnawed away at me. Hey, Chikun, come on! It's club time! Club time! The sound of Rena's voice brought me back to my senses. Come on, Kei-chan. Stop spacing out. Bring your desk. Everyone was moving their desks together as usual. That's right, it was happy, fun club time. But I had no intention of taking part. I haphazardly stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag as I prepared to go home. It was a weak-handed gesture to avoid having to actually say, I'll be going home now. What's this, Kei-chan? You planning on going home right away again? Mion sounded quite disappointed. Just not in the mood. Could you let me be for a while? The the words that spilled from my mouth matched Mion's disapproving glare. It felt like the air in the room had dried out. Satoko looked like she was about to say something, but perhaps dissuaded by the mood, she swallowed her words and stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I took that to mean I could leave if I wanted. But the collective gaze of the four of them, like the tiny pins used to mount an insect in a display, held me in place. Anna was the only one who cut through the heavy mood. Eiichi-kun, you just didn't like playing with girls, I guess. That it's such a... Oh, it did me too. He said it in such a melancholic tone that it sent a wave of pain racing through my heart. If this pain was going to kill me, I wanted it to be the soft part of me that could still feel pain. I tore at my chest, violently tearing out the pins that held me in place. That's not it at all! I'd only be hurting myself by saying anything more, so I swallowed my words. Cutting things off there, I turned away and exited the classroom. They didn't speak a word to me as I left. A long, dull trip back home, but I didn't lose focus. Oops, I think the microphone picked out that one. Gotta admit, at this point, do even they not know? Well, no, we know they know, but I don't know. You know? Firmly squeezed the grip of the bat, which was already soggy from sweat. Realizing that, I wiped it down with my sleeve. If something were to happen, I wouldn't want it to be slippery. Since this morning, I'd become especially sensitive to the presence of cars. Even while walking, my ears pricked up, and sought out threatening. Is that? Threatening sounds and presences that could be closing in. And that was why I could hear it. Without a doubt, there were footsteps. Those footsteps had matched up perfectly with mine for a while now. From what I could sense, it was just one person, but I had no intention of being careless. They intend to follow me like that car this morning until we were in a good location to assault me? Then it wasn't a good idea to keep walking like that. I stopped walking and looked back. The wooded path, crowded with trees, responded with silence, as if there was nobody there to begin with. But I wouldn't be fooled. I was certain footsteps were following me. Just as I stopped, the footsteps stopped as well. Meaning the person following me wanted to. That was, without question, proof that I was their target. I held my breath, waiting for that presence to panic and start moving again. The trees rustled with the sound of the wind. The Higurashi also joined in the dissonant chorus, trying to throw my focus into disarray. Had 5 minutes passed, or had I been like this for a whole 30 minutes? It was so hard to breathe that I might have suffocated. It seemed like I would be the first one to panic. Without a doubt, he was lurking in the shade of that tree with bated breath. Then, I'd make the first move. I fixed my grip on the bat. I raised it up to my shoulder to be ready to swing at any time. Hey, I know you're there. With all my might, I screamed at whoever was hiding in the shade of the trees. But the presence in the shade didn't budge. Until the moment I found them, they had no intention of revealing themselves. I know already. I know you're there. I screamed out angrily at them again, but even still, they didn't move at all. I'll go over there myself. With all due vigilance, I approached, step by step. Stepping into the tree's shadow, I saw a human figure there. That figure was curled up like a small animal. Uh-oh! SpaghettiOs! Anna! When she realized I had found her, her expression softened. She seemed apologetic, but wasn't going to speak a single word. Did you have some business with me? I wouldn't accept that silence and screamed the question at her. Not really. It's just, Anna was in a panic with tears welling up in her eyes. It was obvious that she had been following me. What about the club? Since you're not, I'm not. That shouldn't matter. Don't mind me and just play. But I'm just worried about you. Thinking about how I've been acting up until now, it wasn't hard to imagine that my behavior could have been perceived as strange. But Anna was concerned. At a quick glance, that's how it would seem. But I wasn't going to let my guard down that easily. Even if that was really the case, she still wouldn't have to do something like try to tail me. She should have called out to me when I was leaving and gone out right with me. And I didn't do that, no. She kept distance from me and matched my walking speed. On top of that, she matched the sounds of her footsteps and deviously tried to hide her presence from me. Then, after she realized I noticed she was there, she held her breath and tried hiding from me. She wore a timid expression that would force one to take pity on her, but without a doubt, she was tailing me. Stop following me. Oh. Still glaring at Nana, I continued walking onwards. After I'd walked for a bit, she ignored my command and began walking again. So I yelled at her once more. I told you not to follow me. But my house is in the same direction. Then walk ahead of me. I'll start walking once I can't see you anymore. I moved out of the way and waved my bat violently to urge her forward. I'd like to go home together with you. Making a pitiful expression, she meekly squeaked out the words in a voice that she knew would cut my heart. That agitated me to no end. I knew it was a lie. If you wanted to go home together, then you should have called out to me. Now you're just blurting out random lies. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It seemed that the seething anger within me was written all over my face. Even without me saying anything, Nana had understood what I was feeling inside. If you get it, then go. I swung the bat, urging her again to walk. Then I looked back and forth between me and the bat and started walking hesitantly, then stopped again. Go on, then. Hurry. I'm going. So please stop with the bat. It's scary. Anna guarded herself while pointing at me holding the bat. She may have realized that I wasn't planning on using this bat for baseball. I lowered the bat, but still guardedly opened the way for her. Go. No problem now, is there? There's nothing else she could protest. She passed by me timidly, so as to not set me off. As I watched her pass by, she stopped completely after having barely moved at all. Hey, don't stop! Then a powerful gust blew past us, barraging my face with dust. The dust got into my eyes and clouded my vision. While rubbing my eyes with my left hand, I swung blindly at the bat in my right, protecting the small opening I had presented. But Rena didn't even try to attack during that opening. Attack me, no. She hadn't budged an inch. I could tell from the sound of her fluttering skirt in the wind. That old so did the. At that moment, the voice inside of me immediately warned me of the ending. I was caught by surprise. The smell of the air had changed. Without me realizing it, the air around me suddenly felt like a calamity was about to befall me. It was like the air had suddenly become invisible concrete, like Nana and I were blocked in this space. And I didn't move an inch. Also unable to move, I stared at her back. Nana was the first to break the silence. Instantly, she altered her step. I felt like I had just witnessed her shift from Nana to that other person who looks like me. But the voice was one I knew well, which filled me with a kind of bewildering pity. Carelessly, felt relief on hearing that pitiful voice. Uh, well, excuse me, but, can I ask you something? Too shy to even turn around, Benna squeezed her voice out desperately. As she trembled. What? Uh, well, why do you have a bat? I wonder. Question Nina asked was by no means unexpected. I can carry whatever I want. But you didn't have one up until today. Why so suddenly? It's all right if I decide to do something suddenly, isn't it? Is it strange that I have a bat? Because, Keiichi, you're not the kind of person to play baseball. It's weird. I couldn't tell what kind of answer she was looking for, and I was getting tired of answering her. I just suddenly got the urge to play baseball. That's so weird. It's weird. She answered instantly and then annoyed me slightly. I just suddenly wanted to play baseball, and I wanted to practice my swing, so I'm carrying around a bat. What's strange about that? Strange. Weird. Definitely. Why is Keiichi-kun also? Your ramblings are annoying me. Is it that strange for me to have an interest in sports? I tried to sound a bit more threatening to end the conversation until my suspicions about Rena were cleared. I had no obligation to answer her question. I'm sorry. Don't get so angry. Rena still didn't turn around and spat out words of apology one after the next. There's just one last thing. Tell me one last thing. I feel like talking at her. Hurry up and go. I yelled loudly at her, causing her to flinch like she had been struck. Seeing her in such pathetic state caused my heart to ache sorely. But even though she was afraid, she stubbornly kept herself from moving. Before I was able to threaten her again, Anna asked her final question. Why is that bat the same too? What did she mean by the bat was the same? I had no idea what she was talking about. What are you saying? Why is even the bat the same? Don't understand what you mean at all. Say it clearly. Even still, Rena didn't turn around. After inhaling deeply, she screamed, I mean, why is even the bat the same as Satoshi-kun's? Being... Huh? Huh? On hearing that name out of the blue, I became dumbfounded for a brief moment. By... Satoshi? Did she mean the student who transferred out last year? Well, that couldn't be. Rena had tried to cover it up by saying he transferred out. But Ooishi told me quite clearly that he was missing. He was the student who sat at my seat up until last year. He was believed to have been demoned away by Oyashiro-sama's curse. I didn't know the details about his disappearance. The aunt he lived with was killed the night of the Watanagashi by a drug addict, and not long after that he suddenly vanished and was now missing. So she and I were... What? My gaze fell to the bat in my hands. Could it be? Hojo Satoshi. It was a bit difficult to see, but that was what was written on the white tape at the end of the bat. I see. So this was Satoshi's bat. This was Satoshi's bat. Since nobody was using it, I borrowed it. That's not a problem, is it? That's not it! The way Rena said that made it seem like this bat was something that should never be touched. Like it was some sort of offering at a shrine. Or memento of the deceased. I can only stand there, perplexed and unable to respond. Rena continued speaking without waiting for a reply. Why is it? You're doing the exact same thing Satoshi-kun did when it happened to him. Uh-oh. And it was talking about more than just the bat belonging to Satoshi. It was the same with Satoshi-kun. He joined a baseball team, but he didn't really like baseball. What does that have to do with me? Satoshi can also suddenly started walking around with a bat one day. He joined a team, but he wasn't the type to play sports. What about it? I closed my mouth before I could say that out loud. Listen carefully, Keiichi. Rena is trying to tell us something important. Satoshi can also one day came to school by himself all of a sudden, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly started practicing his swing, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly began carrying the bat around with him, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly... then one day he suddenly what? And I had swallowed her words, and a sudden silence brought a hush back to the surrounding area. It was then that I could finally digest the content of the entire conversation. He was saying my chain of actions was exactly the same as Satoshi. What was the meaning of this? Up until just now, I'd forgotten all about Satoshi. I had never paid much thought to him in the first place. Not only that, I didn't even know anything of what he'd done. My actions today should have been my own creation, after all the planning I'd done, but they had been the exact same as Satoshi's? Then Satoshi, no, more importantly, if both Satoshi and I acted the same, then there was a really good possibility that what happened after would be the same. That day, what happened to Satoshi? Rena knew. She knew what became of Satoshi. No, forget about what happened to a guy in the past. Rena knew what was going to happen to me. Answer me, Rena. Satoshi, what happened to him? But then I grabbed Rena's shoulder violently and forcibly turned her around to face me. As I faced her, I felt a jolt travel through my entire body. I told you. It was that person I didn't know. At least it definitely wasn't the Rena I'd been talking to up until now. The voice just now didn't have a trace of the trembling or emotion that it had had before. The amount of regret I felt for turning her around so carelessly was unsurpassed. That gaze pierced me like a cold needle, the smile on her face that invoked an image of having been carved out by a knife. Chills went down my spine, my mind froze under a layer of rime. Both of Rena's eyes pierced through mine, leaving me unable to look away, as if to remind me of the fear from that time before. Rena brought her face so close to mine, so close that I could feel her breath. Her face had filled my entire field of view. Then her sharply shaped lips were even sharper, like the curve of a crescent moon. She grinned. I told you, Keiichi. After a short pause, Rena repeated the same words again. Satoshi-kun, you see, transferred out. Transferred? Meaning what? What Rena meant must have been some new definition of transfer that I was not previously aware of. My throat and lips dried up. I couldn't even acknowledge what I had just heard. All I could do was swallow down my own saliva. It seemed that Rena saw that as a nod. She pulled her gaze back and spryly stepped back 2-3 paces. As she did, my legs gave out, and I fell to my knees pathetically. Rena had me on my knees underneath her, emotionless smile. That had to be a very odd sight indeed. Seeing me in that pathetic state, she neither scoffed at me nor held out her hand. But I could neither stand nor escape with her gaze shooting through my eyes. There was undoubtedly a metal bat in my hand, but right now it was useless to me. I was like a fly caught in it. Heavy sweat beaded all over my body. I could feel it dripping from my skin. But you won't, will you? Anna finally released me from that cage of time after what felt like an eternity. But her question was missing something important and was incredibly vague. Once again, I swallowed hard, urging her on. What? What did she not want me to do? Transfer. Pinch hitter! Satoshi and I had what? All of my well-planned actions throughout the day turned out to have been nothing more than a reenactment of what Satoshi had done. Satoshi, He really been in the same situation as I was now? Friends he had gotten along with what had changed suddenly and for no reason, at least none that I had noticed, planned to kill him? Then, fearing for his life, as I am, he got a bat to protect himself and carried it around every day to practice his swing. And then one day, suddenly, he transferred. My blood went cold, causing a prickling sensation to course through my veins. Starting near my heart, it radiated outwards from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, chilling every part of me without recourse. What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Was Satoshi still at wherever he transferred to? Was he the only one who would be able to understand me? Would he be able to tell me why it all ended up like this? More importantly, where did he transfer to? What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Before I knew it, I was at my front door. The frigid knob was hard to turn. Nobody home? It wasn't that odd of an occurrence. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the single key attached to my fur seal keychain. Ha ha! I stepped into the entryway just as I was about to take off my shoes. A chill ran down my spine. Someone had entered right behind me. Like a classmate messing around, standing right up. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. There was undoubtedly behind. Hey now, Keiichi. How do you know they're there even though they're behind you? As I could hear the sound of flowing hair. No other reason I'd hear that sound. That was the presence. Because I could hear the sound of them blinking. But Keiichi, there's no way you could hear that. It was mostly instinct than anything else that was warning me of their presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination, but it was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to raise a mental image of a near figure standing behind me, but at the same time I asked myself if there was nobody, then what was I feeling? As an unbearable conversation crawled up my spine. Actually, it'd be better if there was somebody there. If there was nobody there when you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all those questions just by looking behind me. But I didn't have enough courage to even do that simple task. Alright, I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer me. It was a random thought. I didn't care how I went about it, just so long as I didn't have to turn around. If I calmed down and thought about it, I would have known. Fuck, why did I hear something behind me? That's fucked up. Wouldn't have solved anything. Who is it? I spoke in such a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't believe it was my own. I can almost feel them contemplating their response. I felt it. There's no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. Calm your head. That time, I was certain I heard it. As if hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry. I was certain the sound of somebody in here. Heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know who, but a tiny speck of courage in me, however reckless it was, fired a primal yet fitting solution to this current predicament. A scream! All the force of my body released from my lungs and through my throat, ceasing all thought processes in my head. Suppressing all my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until the moment I turned around, until I brought the area behind me into my field of vision, they were definitely there, falling face up, my eyes traced remnants of the presence suspended in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They had looked like they weren't there, but they were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free in a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotional dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of aggression. That emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from the bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state of heightened lucidity, I entrusted myself to the fury, my body to the fury. The metal bat held firm in my right hand, which glows with an awesome power, as if drawn there by a magnet of awesome power. A mid-level sweep would be the hardest attack to dodge. I remember reading something like that from a book about swordsmanship or something. Rah! I brandished my will to fight. The afterimage of that amalgamation of metal flashed as it swung from left to right, beating against. The bat slammed into the right wall, the tip rebounding violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound into a sweep to the left. Now, doesn't this behavior remind you of something we were reading about earlier in this story? The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. Those two swings whiffed through empty space, but they seemed to have a great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from that space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I extracted the bat from the cupboard it was embedded in and screamed as I spun my entire body around in a large arc. Rah! Rah! What the fuck? I heard something again. I don't like that. My screams shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. Crack. Without mercy or restraint, my violent strike with certain fatal force behind it shattered the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but my ferocity had certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat. The invisible enemy, there but not there, dispersed. When I was certain that the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and latched the chain. No way. Had it only feigned a retreat and was now inside my house? Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for the presence. But it was gone. I had succeeded in fending it off. At that moment, the tension drained from my body. I let out a deep, deep sigh of relief. Relief. I am relieved. So much relief. 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 I am relieved. All of the emotions I'd been holding back chaotically merged together and began to flood out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment, and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with the strongest. Exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room on the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back, tilted my head back a little. After clearing my mind of all my idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that at the front door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, maybe it was just an apparition I dreamt up in my confused state, but I didn't really think that was the case. Calm down, my Bakechi. Compose yourself. But no matter how calmly I thought about it, what just happened wasn't a figment of imagination. Obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and without a doubt, something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion I saw amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? I had just one piece. When I asked, "Who is it?" they inhaled as if they were about to answer. That sound had clearly reached my ears. The situation I was in right now was still unclear. Either I'd been possessed by the supernatural phenomenon known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, or this was a ruse by the villagers who believed in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetrated by humans, that would mean that admitting it was Rena and the rest of them doing it but it would be solvable. Ooishi-san and the rest of the police would surely arrest my enemy. But it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse. I wondered, what would happen? Ooishi-san very clearly declared that curses didn't exist. At that time, those words were pretty dependable. But as things were now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrators were not human, he suddenly seemed quite unreliable. If I told Ooishi-san this was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would happen? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but would go without question that a void would expand rapidly between myself and Ooishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with and not being able to confidently declare whether or not this was a curse or not, there was no merit to doing that. I'd better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add what happened here to the memo behind the clock. There was still the ever so slight possibility. I was actually confused when I thought I was composed and I was just going berserk in the entryway. How wonderful would that be if that was really what happened? I would be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Rena and the rest were perpetrators. I said that Rena and the rest weren't the perpetrators, and that would mean believing in Oyashiro-sama's curse. By denying both of those, I would be admitting that I myself was losing it. 3 options from which I could choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to cool myself down. Calm down, my Barakechi. Ha! He said it. He said the thing. Accept what has actually happened as reality. Stop thinking of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful it would be if it turned out I was delirious and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination. Oyashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist and I would still be bestest buddies with Rena and the rest. I would have to be crazy. He has not thought about Tomitake-san being dead for a while now. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. If only. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally, there were no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much, but since my parents weren't here, I had no choice. I squirmed off the bed and went downstairs. Hello, this is the Mayambara residence. Eiichi, this is Mom. I intuitively had a bad feeling about this, because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things, so I took the initiative. What? I don't mind having instant noodles for dinner. There's still a lot of them. The other day, we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds, actually, but they refused since the individual packs were expensive. So instead, I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork bone and ginger flavored ones I liked. My parents don't like strong flavors. I didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them. So you see, there really isn't a need to go shopping, right? Eiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Both Mommy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now? This was really abrupt. No, we're already here. We left this afternoon. It's quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Gunning it at full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would have taken longer. I'm thinking you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going so smoothly. Now that she mentioned it, I did remember that they talked all that time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy is really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as they are, it will affect his work. Part of my father's particular, fragile, artistic personality, his emotions changed as easily as the fall sky. You could also just say he couldn't take the criticism. But something like that can be done over the phone. Eiichi, this is your father's job, so can you support him a bit, please? Anyway, it's just faster to talk about it in person, so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. Ha! 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 As their son, there was nothing more I could say once they started talking about work. So, we'll be back tomorrow night. Eiichi, will you be fine on your own? Not like I'll die or anything. Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. If there's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mommy will be able to help out. Yesterday I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them that. But I didn't plan on dying. At least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. I'll survive even if I have to gnaw my leg off. Yeah, see you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure to wake up. And eat your breakfast. And don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah, see you. All I did like that. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings, but Tokyo was far away. I normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance. It never happened this sudden. I couldn't say those circumstances didn't feel strange, or rather, natural. Anyway, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone. Missing. Vanished. Looking back on the series of events of the previous 5 years involving Oyashiro-sama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it's getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good that the only light in the whole house from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone and that this was their chance. First, I ran to the living room, flicked on the lights, and turned the TV on to a reassuring volume. Next to the study, I similarly turned on the lights and some music. With this from the outside, it would look like my parents were here. Once again, I went through the house, checking to see if there was anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched down the laundry haphazardly and erased all traces of my mother wasn't there. Should be fine. The garage! They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone up to Okinomiya Station. The garage were empty, wide open, and in plain sight. This was not good. I panicked and rushed out the back to close the normally open garage. Would be fine now. I needed to get the paper. Mom was always got the paper since they left in the afternoon. The evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. This for sure. This time it should be fine. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that from my little freak out was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell and the bat I was holding smashed into it. And so just leaving it in its current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a little before Mom got back. I remembered there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. I was going to get them. The phone rang once again. Hello, this is Mayabara residence. Oh, is this Skage-kun? Is your mother around? She isn't here at the moment? Idiot, Mayabara Keiichi! Don't reveal that your parents are gone! You follow up still. Calm down and take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again or to tell her to call when she comes back. And that's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well, then, sorry for the bother. The scenario I feared didn't play out either, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with more telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with a phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I needed to make up a good story to explain that my parents were home but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? I was thinking about it on the way back to my room when the phone rang once again, and it was like they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick up, but I knew I had to. I suspect my parents weren't here. I should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pretense that I didn't realize that it was... But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver. Hello? I stopped announcing this was the Mayabara residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Oh, is it our hero? Our prince on his shining white car with air conditioning? Hello, my apologies for calling so late. This is Ooishi from the Okinomiya. It is the bookstore. Ooishi-san! Is that you, Mayabara-san? Good evening. Good to hear you are doing well. Wait just a moment, please. I grabbed the portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was, since there was no one else home, but I wanted to be in a spot that just felt a bit safer when speaking on the phone with ooishi-san. My bedroom. Sorry for the wait. How are things? Anything changed since then? Since then? When was that exactly? There's something about the brazen way he talked that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with ooishi-san was 2 days ago, the day I stayed home from school. I had ooishi-san on the way back from the hospital, and we had to time for lunch and had a talk, and after that, I had Mion giving a check up on me. Whenever I spoke with ooishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may well be found out by them as well. Hello? Can you hear me, Mayabara-san? Sorry, what did you say? I asked if anything's changed since last time. Wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried. Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that had happened, all of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I might never have another chance. This night, when my parents weren't home, I had no guarantees I would make it through the night safely, after all. Well, ooishi-san, it seems that someone is after me. Really? It could all just be a coincidence. But that day I missed school when I was sick. The two of them came to check up on me. Which two? Rena and Mion. They started asking about how I had lunch with you. What next? They left me some mochi when they came to visit, but there was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wonder, could that have just been a threat? About the needle, it was one of those common sewing needles you see all the time. There was a whole string thread through. Not that, Mayabara-san, the needle itself. That's evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is that needle? That's right! That's it! I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed the mochi, I had overlooked it out of terror, but the needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I had certainly thrown the mochi and the needle at the wall together. If it was there, it would be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned the living room wall, and there was not a trace of mochi left on it. Could be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet. I frantically searched by running my palm along the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desks, pulling up the carpet, then flapping it around. I couldn't find the needle. My mom cleaned up everything without noticing it. Just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen, opened up the lid of the pail, and poured out all the contents, but even at a glance, I could tell it would be incredibly difficult to find a needle in this pile of trash. I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I know, I'll try running my hand through it. It's a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'll be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash with my hand. Filth threw about. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep ooishi-san waiting for too long. Later, when Mom got back, I'd have to ask if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad affixed to the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. I then dashed back upstairs, where I had been keeping ooishi-san waiting for far too long. Hello? How did it go? I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed back then, and I see. It would be great if you could find it. Keep it safe. That's right, the needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell him about this morning with the hit and run. Also, ooishi-san, this isn't all. Actually, this morning, that van was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without question due to the circumstances at that time. Did you see the license plate? I can search for it from here. Damn! I just flipped out by yelling at him back then, but I didn't look at the plate. What failures on my part with the needle and the plate number. I was so focused just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip out of my grasp. I punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was. I'm sorry, I don't know much more than that. It was a white van. Nothing to fret about, Mayabara-san. Anyone would be shaken up after being hit. I guess all of this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Ooishi-san started to hem and haw on the other end. I could imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rena is acting strange. How so? What Rena said on the way home today, asking why I was so much like Satoshi-kun. Now I could say it with confidence. Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew that there was more to it than him just suddenly disappearing. Rena knows. She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year. What would that be exactly? Rena said I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the way things are going, I'll end up with the same fate as Satoshi. Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you? Transferring out, she said. Transferring out? Rena said Satoshi transferred out, so given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too. Ooishi-san let out a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly. Mayabara-san, that was probably some sort of threat. Or maybe some type of warning. I thought so too. At that point, I started to think. Would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing, being as the only other explanation. Of course, I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san. Except, Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real, or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all of the villagers, Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with the prior string of mysterious deaths. I seemed to recall that Oishi-san had admitted that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little, meaning he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what had happened at her previous school, among other things that were still unknown to me. Rena, honey, no, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight, I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I felt I had just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house was some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use brute force, they'd easily gain entry. There were no other residences close to the Mayabara residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud it was. I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I did right now. I wondered if I would still be here tomorrow, so I had to ask right now, because I had no idea when the next chance would come. Okay, I'm ignoring it. Eiichi's ignoring it. Oishi-san, I had something I wanted to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me. Sure, ask away. Even though he was so far away, the other end of that line, this was the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena, about what happened at her previous school. Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first, but I finally realized it was the doorbell. The time was 7 o'clock. Past the time the postman would be making a delivery, and past any sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I put into making it look like my parents were home. I need to answer the door. Hello? Mayabara-san! Sorry, someone seems to be at the door. I'm going to see who it is. A guest? I see. My apologies. Should we end the phone call now? That would be a problem. No, I'll be back in a second. Do you mind if I just leave the phone on? It's fine. I don't mind. I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed down to the door. I needed to make up a good excuse to get them to leave. I had a hunch it was the lady who called right before Ooishi-san did. In which case, it would be one of the neighbors who's friends with my mom. I'll just say Mom isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. This is what I've been waiting for. It'd be hard for her to ask me to wake up my mom up if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at regular intervals. Someone didn't answer after you rang the bell so much. You'd normally give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mom's friends. Good evening. Rena. Oh, there shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy, as it was just as I was about to ask Ooishi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to mere coincidence, but those unsettling words from Neon several days ago echoed back to me. There's nothing so bad, does it? Oh. Uh, are you alone, Anna? Yeah. It seems that Mion wasn't with her. But that didn't change the situation at all. Why did you come here? Hey, Keiichi-kun. I'd like you to open the door so we can talk. Like, come inside? I wonder? I wonder? It was true that speaking through a chain door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate, but my house, the chain has to be on at night. Don't worry about it. Then, can't be helped, I guess. And I pouted rather sadly. Oh god, this is really sad. Kept smiling at least. Her effort to keep that smile up was beautiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain. Trusting Enna enough to remove the chain, having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Enna. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on trying to get into the entranceway. Have you eaten yet, Eiichi-kun? No, I haven't eaten. My mom wasn't there, dinner wouldn't be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home, was woken up by the phone, and didn't get a chance to eat since I used up all that time talking. I was gonna have cup noodles in any case, I could just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. What about it? That's good. Look here. I brought a bunch of dishes. And I held out a stack of boxes wrapped in a cloth. If I could use your kitchen, I can heat up the miso soup and other stuff. It's fine, you don't need to do that. But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Does Keiichi-kun not like that type of stuff, I wonder? There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with lots of ingredients. White radish, carrots, burdock root, potatoes, dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks... Oh. I also brought rice, so if you microwave it, you can eat it really quickly. Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet, sipping miso soup in between ravenous bites. Oh yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese. Also, I made some more pickles. I made sansai pickles this time. Before I had moved here to Hinamizawa, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sansai. But I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. The vegetables from the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If you had to describe them, then they were the vegetables for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first had to partake of sansai. It was common knowledge around here that the Ryugu's family's traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were, it goes so well with that fluffy white rice. Oh. And also, but wait, there's more? So delicious. It just seems so delicious. Farewell to my unhealthy self that bet he'd make do with cup noodles. Lena appeared to be in good spirits, and she was offering such a delicious-sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut, and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone. It shouldn't be a problem letting her inside. So the possibility that it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I didn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then. But the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Nena, speaking of this charming dinner, was dependent on one premise. And that premise was that tonight, dinner hadn't been made at my house. Meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't here. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time was inherently strange, unless she knew. Anna, did she know that my parents weren't home? But there was also the chance that this was a bluff. I had turned on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were here. There was a chance that Lena was unsure if my parents were home. But I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There are plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Lena didn't have a chance to determine if my parents were here or not. But there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding on to that fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Lena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner will be ready pretty soon. Huh? Is that so? Is that so? I know you went through all the effort and everything, but well, unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly. But some of this could work as side dishes, I think. Sorry, we have more than enough already. My mom always makes quite a few side dishes, so... Huh? You have side dishes? With a smile that bordered on a cringe. I dodged her questions apologetically, but the feeling I tried to ignore began creeping up on my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact, and that I was aware of it as well. So Keiichi-kun can cook. What did you make, I wonder? No, well, it's not that Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I made them, but rather that my mom hadn't. Did you really make them, the side dishes? Did you, Keiichi-kun? It wasn't me who made them. My mom did. No, she's making them right now. So you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat what you brought. Rena fell silent at that moment. At that moment, I felt that the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes. How about I try guessing what Keiichi-kun's dinner will be? It doesn't matter what I'm gonna eat. Let's see. The conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated. Your dinner, I wonder. Is it something that can be made with just hot water? Hey now, stop with the insults. I can't believe you'd belittle my mom's extravagant dinner like that. Tickets sold out, full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grip my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. But Lena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness. Hey, chicken. Did your mother really leave you dinner? No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. It's almost time for dinner. Rena had taken that assertion of mine, that my mother was home and making dinner right now, and was completely ignoring it. I could tell that the more I panicked, the colder Rena became. Hey, Keiichi-kun. At that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept in from the gap in the doorway. Is your mom home? I wonder. I couldn't keep on this charade anymore. And, she knew full well that my home. But I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here and we'd be having dinner soon. That was the situation I had concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She's here, of course. I feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air, and his eyes were becoming even more frigid, piercing me with their gelid glare. Why? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but that facade was torn off the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. That look, it informed me of Rena's response faster than she could open her mouth. Why have you been lying to me? I wonder. I'm not lying. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. Lies! Rena's outburst sent a jolt surging through my body. Anna and I were still separated by what few inches that slightly ajar but still chained door could afford. But despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I'd considered a safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me. Well, I guess your dinner, Keiichi-kun. Let's see. I knew now that Rena had already known that my parents would not be here tonight, but it was still so strange that it had come to this. Even if she somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there was no way she should be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? How could she know it was instant cup noodles? That's right, isn't it? That I was going to eat... Wait. The cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing. I don't think you'll be full with just noodles. I think having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot. Calm down, my Keiichi. This was just coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tells of mine, so the fact she was inferring that I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was actually reading my mind. If it was being read, then she would be a demon. Demons don't exist. Those are like swamps that go down to hell. Those don't exist either. That would be silly. No, not a demon. Things like that. They couldn't, right? They couldn't exist. Do you like them? Do you mean noodles? No! Rena indicated that the point my answer was addressing was wrong. Her rebuttal was so short, I momentarily didn't understand the words Rena had spoken. Sorry, what did you say just now? Huh? About what? Just now, you asked me if there was something that I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. Oh, hello, Icy Curves. Welcome. This is art. What do you mean? This is art. Fingers are fused together. I have no idea what you're talking about. This is. Do your hands not look like this? This is the pinnacle of human shit, what's the word? Articulation. That's what this is. It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer that... Yes, exactly, human evolution. It was such a simple answer. Also, this is what these, I know these, an actual answer though, this is what the art originally looked like for this visual novel before many updates. It's gotten like, I think this art has been updated like 3 times before it got to Steam, but I actually like I like the expressiveness of the original art a lot better, so I stick to it. It was a simple answer. That was why I wasn't able to comprehend it. Pork bone and ginger flavor. I wondered how I appeared in the moments my mind went completely blank until the moment I was really able to recover. As my field of view began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know about that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena even know this? Know even this? not even caring as I mashed my head against the door. I fixated my gaze on Nena. She didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly did buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case. How could you know that? Why, I wonder. Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it? How could you dodge the question at a time like this? The chain and the door suddenly were no longer protecting me. How do you know? Why do you know? Answer me! You bought them at 7th Mart, didn't you? A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering it up with an angry facade. But like I said, why do you know that? I was behind you, following you the whole time. What are you saying? I couldn't understand what she was saying. I couldn't understand why she was saying she'd been following me all this time. That's because Nana was right behind. Ichigo back the whole time. Well, thank you. Like that night? That night I was absorbed in my phone call conversation with ooishi-san? Didn't even sense her being there. Standing behind the door? Behind me? Standing there? Just like that? Keiichi was picking out the noodles. I was watching the entire time. Picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? Then your mom got angry. When you pick the expensive ones, you should just pick one type, she said. Oh, this is creepy. And Keiichi picked out that big box of pork bone and ginger flavor that he loved so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. But I can never eat a whole big bowl myself. My brain was paralyzed, dulling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear. I was feeling too. Oh, that's good advice. Okay. In which direction do you mean the pacing of the reading? Slower or faster? Oh, she. Yes. It's good stuff. My brain was paralyzed, dulling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With the fear being diminished, the fog enveloping my mind was cleared away. Then, I could understand what Nena was saying and started to put meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes closed so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. Slowly took a step backward, and as I withdrew, Nena advanced. Oh, Keiichi-kun, can you open this? We can eat dinner together. I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so... Okay? Nena's pale, slender, very slender fingers. No, I'm kidding. Nena's pale, slender fingers. All, I don't know, six of them, I think? 6 fingers. Yeah, there's like one bulky one on that hand. So I'd say 5 and then the thumbs. So yeah, 7 fingers. Pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door, one at a time, as if they had a mind of their own, rattling the chains. If she had unlatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me. But Vanna didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to light the fuse to the powder keg in my heart, trying again and again. Clatter, 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 clatter. But it doesn't light. It doesn't light. Open up. Ichiko? Please go away. I beg you. Please go away. How can you say something so mean? I wonder. Please go away. Go away. Go away! The powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering, it just exploded. I tackled the door. The force through the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed onto the doorknob with both hands, planted my feet firmly, and pulled with all my... Wait. That... Why would you pull the door? That is a door you push close. Like, look at the door in the picture. Right? Am I crazy? If you pull the doorknob, you're just opening it back up. Well, I'm gonna, maybe the next line will explain this. Oh yeah, because of the thing on the top. The thing on the top up here. So you can't see my mouse, but there's a thing on the top. Huh. Okay, if you've got a door engineer in here, I'm gonna have to trust you on this. That is far outside my expertise. But that slamming sound I desired didn't happen. I feel a tiny, disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing. Ah! The source of that was Rena's fingers. Oh no! Yes, actually. For the first time last year, in fact. And weirdly enough, I was actually kind of underwhelmed after all the build-up I had gotten for it. I have not figured out how to get chat on the screen. The question the good Icy Curves asked was whether or not I had played Saya no Uta. Each of those fingers wriggling, squirming. Oh god, this is just such a... Oh, thank you! Yeah! Oh, god, no, I have been... Jesus, I mean, it might just be that I've been reading them longer, because... I don't know if even Katawa Shoujo was a thing. It might have been. But I mean, like, I've been reading VN since, like, at least it's the original Higurashi anime around then. But, yeah. Jesus, that would be at least 10 years now. But, I mean, yeah. But, I mean, I like the ends of, like, I'm not too picky. I mean, you'll see on the stream, besides Higurashi, I'm playing fucking Conception 2, so, you know. Oh, well, there's something wrong with them now. That's for sure. China Canvas. plant cracked in the doorway. It hurts. It hurts, Keiichi-kun. It hurts. Oh. It wasn't a harsh shriek. More of a yelp she was trying to keep back. Go away. Go away. Go away. Well, she can't now. You've got her stuck there. I kept pulling on the door with all my might. I didn't even realize that if I didn't loosen my pull on the door, at least momentarily, Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out, and that was why the door wasn't closing. It really hurts, Keiichi-kun. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much. Oh. I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change any of what she had done up until now. Didn't change anything. Oh, and there we have our callback to the very, very, very beginning. It hurts. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away. Go away! I couldn't leave even if she wanted to because I had trapped her fingers. His white fingers, had become deep red and were no longer even squirming. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away. Go away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And his apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, but like a broken record, he was intent on repeating it over and over. Go away, go away, go away. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it! I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, oh God, oh God, I'm just imagining it. What is with this series and fingers and nails? God damn. Ryukishi, you have issues, man. He's just not eyes, but still. Well, wait. Pretty sure there's stuff with eyes somewhere. Finally, his fingers. Oh God, like, oh man, how does she even still have them if she's, oh, I don't want to think about it. Finally, and his fingers were somehow able to slip out from their imprisonment in the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly, and I could hear the thud of Rena falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. Made a loud clunk, voicing my rejection to Rena. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Ichi-kun, I'm sorry. Open up. Yeah, she's not gonna do that, Rena. Sorry. Ichi-kun, open up. Okay, Ichi-kun. Rena leaned against the door, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming that I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear echoing her apology. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Those pitiful words, they would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about this at all. But that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I felt a sort of hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape from Rena. Before, Mion had threatened me at this doorway, saying there was nothing she didn't know. And just now at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home had served no purpose from the start. Yes, I do. It's a messy mess, and I've been uploading old streams on it now, but yeah. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. Meager plans hadn't helped at all. Also, real quick, in case anyone coming upon this or watching has forgotten, I want to actually jump back real quick. Not to interrupt the timing too much, but because I think this is great what Ryukishi is doing. Oh, here, real quick. Let's just reread that line real quick. Where is it? Sorry. Go away. For apologizing. Those pitiful words. Forever seeking my forgiveness. Now, we go back to... I'm killing the mood, I know, but... Oh! Ooh! What is going on with the start menu? Anyway, Let's... Wait, did I break the game? Hold up. Oh my god, I think this is a bug! Oh shit! I think I made it bug out! Oh, I'll answer you in a second. I'm fascinated. I think I accidentally created some kind of red bug. Okay, yes, Burn. I know, Burn. Yes, you were quite the poet. Go. Oh no, it is. I think I did bug it. All right, skip. I don't remember if this part was red. Oh, this is funny. Just I want to skip to get to the part at the. Oh no, okay, it's not red anymore. Oh, can I not skip this? Come on. Oh, come on. Yes, you trusted her, Keiichi. Yes. No, I still trust her. Yeah, I know. Alright, well, if this has to play out anyway, I would say, God, my favorites. That is tough. Well, alright, we can look at this again, because I'm pretty sure this is gonna be happening. I don't know if I'm gonna get to this point tonight, but it's gonna be tomorrow night. Oh, no! Or no, wait, is this part red? It might be red. Anyway, my favorite visual novels. Well, Umineko would be up there, if I can count the entirety as one. Mud Love, again, the entirety. I don't know if it's cheating to count that. What else? Part of me wants to say Steins Gate. I know I really liked it when I read it, but unlike Umineko, well, no. I need to reread Steins Gate. I've only read it the one time for the first time. It was a couple years ago, and it was after I was recovering from a surgery, so I think I'm a little hazy on it. I'd like to reread that. What else? I have not read Nekopara. I apologize. I have, and I realize that's cruel since I technically have like 3 videos on that YouTube channel of mine making fun of it, but I will admit it is a very high quality. I know as far as what it is a very good visual novel doing what it is doing. It's just not the sort of. I mean, it's playful, making fun, but it's not the kind I tend to seek out generally. But like, I honestly have nothing, against it. It's just there's other stuff I'm wanting to read. It's not super high on the priority list. I do have it technically. I think I got it on a Humble Bundle, and I'll probably read it eventually. Why can I not skip this? Oh my god! I actually no. Funny enough, I actually do want to read. I was the Catboy spinoff that came out recently, and I don't know if they weren't voiced, and like. I might actually even want to think about streaming them someday. I don't know. I mean, I know that's not a new thing to do. Back to your question though. The House of Fata Morgana is definitely gonna be a favorite. Let's see. Umineko Mud Love. Steins Gate, Morgana. God, if I wouldn't have done this, if I didn't realize I couldn't skip this part. Okay. Yes, When They Cry. Jeez. Somebody, there we go. This is what I wanted. Okay, the very beginning starts off with this. What she's apologizing for. It felt wrong to eavesdrop, so I tried to ignore it. Blah, 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 blah. Somebody is still apologizing. Who is she apologizing to? She's apologized so much, so just forgive her already. There's no reason anyone should ever need to apologize so much. I started to feel a bit annoyed at whoever was refusing to forgive her. No matter how bad the mistake. No, I'm sorry. I'm not. You mentioned this. This is not. This is not the emphasis I should be giving these lines. No matter how bad the mistake, there's nothing that can't be forgiven. There's no such thing as an irreparable mistake. You just need to be more careful next time. She's still apologizing even now. Then, has she really done something that can't be fixed? I have no idea what she's done, but if it can't be fixed, then that's all the more reason to forgive her. No matter how much she apologizes, nothing will change. But even so, she keeps apologizing. Such a heartbreaking voice. Hey, you, the one she's apologizing to. Why don't you just go ahead and forgive her? She's apologizing in such a pathetic voice. Alright, well, yeah, anyway, so I just think it's interesting that that is literally the first scene of the game. Or story. And then, meanwhile, you know, we have this, where he's just very, very... Oh, we can't go back to it. Very... Not even twice thinking about it here. Before, Mion had threatened me at this doorway, saying there was nothing she didn't know. And just now, at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home and served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even open the door. My meager plans hadn't helped at all. Inamizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Nina as possible. One step, two step. With each one, her sniveling apologies. Jesus, Keiichi. Became more distant. I sprinted up the stairs and dove into my room. As you would expect, I was finally no longer able to hear Nina repeating her endless apology. Okay, no more red. Diving into my bed, I was startled by the hard lump I felt. There was something in my bed! Oh, right. The receiver, phone. Yes, of course. I remember. I finally remembered. I was in the middle of a call with ooishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I had talked with Rena for so long. How did almost time pass? But the hand on the clock was ticking forward, 1 second every second as usual. I put the still warm receiver to my ear. Time, which felt frozen, began moving once again. Hello? Ooishi-san? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time that had passed between myself and Ooishi-san was different. Sure, go with that. Let's go with that explanation. Over the phone, I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. Drove home just how far away Ooishi-san really was. Rena came just now. Did she come to play? I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Ooishi-san. But I didn't need to right now. Right now, I needed to know about Rena. That's right. I was planning to ask Ooishi-san more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true? What was false? I couldn't tell. The one thing I knew was the single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure something out if I asked Ooishi-san about her. Until now, I had regretted it whenever I forced myself to ask about things that I was better off not knowing. But looking at it that way, you could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did right now. No, rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not going to die like this. Not without knowing anything. I definitely won't. Regarding Nugudena-san, I did a bit of digging. Yeah, well, wasn't much. I understood that Ooishi-san was talking in circles. A bit meant I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend. I want to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be very interested in what I have to say, though. Ooishi-san. I spoke as calmly as possible to Ooishi-san, who was continuing to avoid the issue. He is delicious. I don't call him Mr. Delicious for nothing. And then I said it. I think Yugu-rena is suspicious. Even if the past incidents were from Oyashiro-sama's curse, Yugu-rena is involved. Do you have some sort of proof that makes you believe Rena's son is suspicious? The manner in which Ooishi-san spoke became very firm. You have some sort of proof. That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. I see. I could tell, even over the phone, how disappointed Ooishi-san was. Pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite, only to reel in the bait. Disappointed, but ready to cast the line once more. That's how it seemed. Ooishi-san, can't do anything without physical proof, can you? What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof, can you? I stuck that barb in there. As Ooishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things, he understood me just fine. Fine, Mayabara-san. I'll protect you. Oh, he does care. That was not the least bit reassuring. Ooishi-san was just using me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed, and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That was all I was. Whether I'm alive or dead may be of no concern to your investigation, but it's all over for me when I die. Ooishi-san went silent on the other end of the line. That may have been too blunt, but I don't care. I didn't care. All I needed to relate to Ooishi-san was that I was currently in a very dangerous position. So please tell me. Tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out. Not too far in the future, I'll also probably do what Rena called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Yet! That had an exclamation point on it. I was reading too fast. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet! Alright, Mayabara-san, please calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Ooishi-san having to tell me. Indeed. Oh shit, what did I... No. I couldn't solve anything if I just continued to scream about my mistrust in the police. I mean... it would seem that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect myself. That's right. We learned that in Tatarigoroshi. Also, we are playing these out of orders for those who are icy curves possibly, or playing who are just joining us. Because I was super hyped for Sotsu, so I just. Yeah, kinda is. Let me think. What was the Oh, right. All right. So I think we're like right at where the music's about to transition. Icy Curves just pointed out. Again, I need to figure out how to get chat on these streams. I believe the music hasn't quite transitioned from where Keiichi was just feeling so relieved that right, phone call, sanity, back to, something grounded that I can latch onto after that horrific experience with Rena. It's like, I think that's the feeling it's trying to evoke, but it's sort of gone on for a little longer than it probably should have. So like that, it's definitely a good track for like immediately, but Like, I'm betting within, like, the next couple lines or pages or whatever you'd call it, we're gonna get a music change. Like, once Oishi starts, yeah. Then I at least wanted to know what happened before I transferred school. Oh, there we go. You're aware that this won't be very interesting, right? Oishi-san, realizing my resolve couldn't be swayed, finally caved. Right now, to me, there is nothing that I'll find uninteresting. You could literally start telling me what is your tie right now, what your tie looks like right now. I would find it fascinating. So please. There are a few things I need you to agree to. Okay. Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? It might not be true. I don't understand what you mean. There isn't one main investigation for the mysterious chain of deaths in Hinamizawa. Each one is treated as its own individual case. Thus, Ryugu Rena has never been linked to any of the investigations. Basically, you see, this isn't an investigation of Rena done by the police, and is a personal inquiry. And is a personal inquiry, is what you're telling me. This will make things a lot quicker since you understand. All of it is either phone calls or meetings and interviews, so they aren't corroborated. I'm asking you to take this all with a grain of salt, is what I mean. Do we have an agreement? All of it is just from what you heard? Yes, my apologies. It's all my personal investigation, you see. That thing. Before, you said you saw Rena's chart, didn't you? I'm sure. I'm sure. I missed the question mark. Like in a previous line, or... Where are we talking about? I think I went too far. Okay, I will keep an eye out for that. Thank you. And again, for anyone watching this later, because I gotta get that chat work on. We just brought up the pacing again, and it's cool. I will. Ooishi-san paused for a moment on the other end of the line. I told you that too. Please pretend you didn't hear anything about that. I didn't care about Ooishi-san having certain obligations and responsibilities. I also didn't care if there was no proof. Even if they were just rumors, there's no smoke without fire, after all. Please tell me, Ooishi-san. Understood. Ooishi-san finally opened those tight lips of his. It seemed that Lena lived in Hinamizawa a long time ago. She had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture after she finished elementary school. Then, following that, right after transferring, the unfortunate incident with the breaking of the school windows happened. Then, Rena confided to the doctor. It was Oyashiro-san. This was all that he knew. There isn't much difference between what I know and what you know, Maebara-san. Then what part did you investigate further? I didn't need to ask. It was the incident that happened just after she transferred. The incident Rena was responsible for. What she divulged to the doctor afterward. Correct? Yes. After you learned about that, you started suspecting Rena and the others, didn't you? Yes, I did suspect them. So they're the ones, after all? No, that's not what I meant by suspect them. Well, ooishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence, but these particular words were less than reassuring. Then, who did you suspect? That it was Oyashiro-sama. Huh? That Oyashiro-sama's curse really exists? Yeah, right, well... Oishi-san's laugh was quite dry, certainly not the kind that would make you want to join in. Ooh. Oishi-san resumed the conversation about the dubious circumstances behind Satoshi's disappearance. The course of events up until the start of delving into Rena's past. Just then, there was thunder in the distance, and a heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning, rain so heavy. I mean, I don't know. If you want to. If you want to, I guess. I don't know if I've done anything to earn that, but if you want to, by all means. I am not one to tell anyone not to do something they want. Just then, there was thunder in the distance, and a heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning, rain so heavy it felt like it could beat you down. I left the window in my room open a crack to let the heat out. A violent wind danced in... Okay, yeah, that's a typo. A violent wind danced into my room, making the curtains flap wildly. What is it? Nothing. It just started raining heavily. Sorry, please continue. I got up while still on the phone and closed the window. Here we go. I said at the beginning it was an incident, but because neither the school nor the victims filed charges, the police were never involved. So you see, those involved were very reluctant to talk. Oh! And literally 2 minutes ago, I was saying, at least it wasn't eyes. Regardless of there being a victim who had one eye beaten so badly that it had permanent damage. It could have been the school or possibly some individual who made arrangements to keep this from going pub. Wait, I thought it was Keiichi that fucked up somebody's eye. Oh, there was an eye. I can't believe I forgot that. Anyway. I apologize, first-timers. That's a spoiler for later. Also, the psychologist was very strict about their professional ethics. Hello? Maeba-san? Can you hear me? Maeba-san. There was the figure of a person standing by the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in this torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe. In this shower, I skipped the line. In this shower, which more resembled a waterfall. Droplets of water dripped down her hair. Just standing there. Both arms dangling at her side. Wait, does that mean she left the food on his front door? I know I shouldn't be interrupting this, but that just kind of... Anyway. Oh, wait, never mind. Never mind, okay. That's what I get for jumping ahead. In one hand was the stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Her eyes focused on my room. Focused on me as I was about to close the window. Her mouth was methodically repeating a chewing motion. It was as if she had something hard to chew in her mouth, with her cheeks puffed out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be that at this time I was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking developments being brought to light by ooishi-san? If it hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. And I wouldn't have noticed Rena, nor would I have noticed that Rena's mouth was moving in the same pattern. She wasn't eating something. She was repeating something. What was it? Was she repeating to me? What was she saying? And why was I right up against the window, fixated on her? Hello? My boss-san, can you hear me? Hello? I'm sorry. Huh? My boss-san. I'm sorry. 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 Hello? My boss-san? What's the matter? Even this torrential downpour. And I was still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking my view of the outside. But even doing that, Lena's relentless apologies still reached my ears. Sorry. I'm sorry. 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 If I forgive you for this, will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. I'm sorry. 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 Damn it. Why did I have to forgive her? I'm the one who wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. I won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. I won't forgive. Maibar-san, if you can hear me, then please respond. Hello? Maibar-san! God, Ooishi-san's freaking out. You have received new tips! 2. Alrighty, before I jump into these, I am gonna say real quick, I'm probably gonna end after these tips because it's almost 2 a.m. where I am right now. I don't know about your time zone, Icy Curves, but I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves, this is going to be the end right after this. We're like right at the end. So, and if you want to join in, I don't entirely disagree, but I will be probably doing the end tomorrow night at about 7 or 8. My time zone, which would be what, 18-ish hours from now, if that helps. If you want to watch, I mean, I am very lackadaisical when it comes to, oh, subscribe, hit the like button, blah blah blah, all that crap. Like, I don't push for that, but I mean, if you want to, since you've been sticking around, that's probably when I'm going to do it. So just saying. And oh, okay, same time zone. That's perfect then. Then yeah, tomorrow at about either 7 or 8, I will be finishing this up. So, if you want, you can drop by then. But either way, let's finish these tips. Hours. All right, you should get some sleep more. I mean, I'm getting up early, which is one reason. But I mean, I tend to get up early anyway. But 4 hours is a little. If it works, it works. But I see the movies quite often. But what is it exactly? Multiple personalities are thought to be escapism. Multiple personality disorder is a form of escape? Correct. The exact mechanism is not fully understood, but it's believed to be a type of defense for the brain to retain mental stability. Hypothetically, poor people imagining themselves as wealthy is a form of escapism, is it not? Oh, okay, I gotcha. Is this also a form of multiple personality disorder? I wouldn't go that far, but broadly speaking, one could infer that. It's something that occurs in us all. Does a split personality occur when one cannot tell which is reality and which is the escape? That's difficult to say. There are some who agree with that and some who disagree. There is no consensus. Now, I am curious what angle Ryukishi wrote this, considering, one, this was written like, what, 15 years ago now, I want to say? And on top of that, it's written, supposed to be written, taking place in like 1983. So I'm curious how much of that stuff was in mind when he wrote this. This part specifically, that is. Or any of this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, I know later there's some things on the quote-unquote real side that, you know, stretch a little far. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Then is the occurrence of multiple personalities still an unknown phenomenon, something not fully comprehended in the psychiatric field? Unfortunately, that is the current state of things. We can only put our hope in the future research. But it's still sort of cool having a split personality. What kind of people get split personalities? Recent studies find that those who develop it, or rather those who are most susceptible to developing it, may be genetically predisposed or may have had abnormal mental development. Some say that childhood abuse increases the chance. Speaking of which, person A here experienced abuse as a child, didn't he? How sad. Is this Lambda? Lambda, is this you? Person A has 7 different personalities. Let's watch a video of him. Right after these commercials! And that was abrupt. Alright, now this one, at the 7th Mart. Well, at the 7th Mart, rather. The 7th Mart was a bargain supermarket with food and alcohol. And I believe this is where Keiichi and Satoko went shopping back in Tatarigoroshi. I think. Or it's the same background. What's this, Keiichi? So many! There's no reason to get all the different kinds, is there? I flopped all the different colored cup noodle bowls into the cart. Cup noodles have gotten so elaborate recently, and there are a bunch of different types. I want to try each of them at least once. I knew it was pretty selfish of me, but I knew it was pretty selfish of me, but I thought I'd at least give it a try. No, I don't like that one either. I knew it was pretty selfish of me, but I thought I'd at least give it a try. Keiichi, buy them in the big case. No, Keiichi, buy them in the big case. It's cheaper. Dad faltered. Well, I had a feeling it'd end up like this. Dad knew there was no point in him butting in. Then I'd only get to eat one kind. I'd get bored with it. I was resisting as a formality. I had already given up inside and wasn't sure which case of noodles to get. If you can't pick, then Mommy will pick for you. You don't have to rush me. I quickly searched the cases of noodles for what I want. Pork bone and ginger large cup. Hey, Keiichi, can't you get a more normal one? If I let Mom pick, she'd err on the side of safety and get soy sauce or salt flavored. Moms, am I right? Pork bone is good. I don't want a big bowl of tasteless stuff. Pork bone is good. I don't want a big bowl of tasteless stuff. I remembered insisting that the noodles I picked were the right kind. Okay. In this frozen memory in time, this encapsulated world, I didn't have the power to look around my surroundings. So, I did what I could and reached out with my hearing and vision, sharpening my senses to find the presence I overlooked. No matter how much I searched through my field of vision, I couldn't see Irena. I rewound the situation, searching, but of course, couldn't find her. Then, was she spying on me from my blind spot? I go through the sound and presences again, looking. It's the other customer. They were all mixed about, moving as they pleased. There was nobody looking over this way and no one trying to get behind me. Not here. Couldn't be here. Probably wasn't here. I would definitely notice if someone was right behind me, even when I wasn't on my guard. I smiled wryly at the thought of using a vague word like probably right before contradicting it with definitely. Then I paused, my mental a chill ran down my spine. There was definitely a shadow like a presence behind. That was a terror unlike any other. A presence really had manifested behind me. I would definitely have turned around to check for it. But the world had moved on and there was no way for me to turn around while carrying that frightening shadow on my back. I was gleefully running around the store searching for a case of noodles. Running through the instant noodle section, bad-mouthing my mom. Was that presence constantly at my back, sticking to me like a shadow. No way to see what it was. Realizing it. The fact now was horrifying and repulsive. In that moment of time, I was running around gleefully, carrying that cardboard box. God damn it, Keiichi, you're making me want to go freaking have some cup noodles, and it's 2 a.m. It's not good for me. Listening to that moment again. Hear footsteps other than mine going pit-pat, pit-pat with every step. Pit-tap, 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 pit-pat, pat, pit-pat. Whoa! Tip-tap is pit-pat backwards. I don't know why that seems relevant to point out, but it's just fascinating. Anyway. Tip-tap, 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 tip-tap. While I was running, the sound of those barefoot footsteps going pit-pat were right behind mine. Me running around gleefully in that closed-off moment in time. But I didn't hear it. No, I heard it. I heard it. That's why I remembered it. I didn't think I had heard anything. That's why I didn't turn around. That is why I didn't turn around. In that moment, the pit-pat of those footsteps were following me the entire time. I couldn't run faster and escape. I couldn't run any faster than I had ran at that time. I couldn't turn around. I hadn't turned around before, not once. Then I returned to my parents and started talking. The shadow-like presence right at my back. I didn't move. The shadow didn't move. That is why it made no sound. That was all. At that time, I hadn't taken a single step while talking with my parents. I was just standing there. This was undeniable. This was undeniable, and yet I heard it. A pit-pat. That shouldn't be. If I took 3 steps, it followed 3 steps. Wasn't that the rule? There was no sound other than that. At that time, the entire world had gone dark. Sudden darkness. It was the end of my reflective journey. I was tired and wanted to end it. Someone turn on the light, but my body couldn't move. If I was sewn into that moment in time. Pit-pat. My past self's hair. It's impossible. Now that's just breaking the rules. I haven't moved. You shouldn't be moving either. I couldn't move. So you shouldn't be able to move either. Follow the rules. Pit-pat. Yet that sound echoed in the darkness once again. The hair on the back of my neck pricked up on end. So close. Hard to tell whether it was touching the hair. Like how the presence was moving behind me. I quickly realized I could move. Just that I was scared. Didn't want to. Now was the only time I could turn around. Something unforgivable in this moment in time. But I needed to turn around immediately. As if my entire being trying to force me to stop. It began to administer a pain like a needle being stuck into my every pore. I'll turn around. I'll turn around. I'm not scared at all. I'll turn around. I'll turn around. I'm not scared at all. A scream I was unable to vocalize. Roo! Roll! Roo! I'm not sure what you're going for there, Keiichi. I turned around. At first, I couldn't understand the meaning of it. What? What is this? Situation in front of my eyes. It was like a mouth biting an apple, slurping the juice, the way you would do with an apple. Mind was being eaten. I began to munch down, slurping the juices, because it was like an apple. Meaning, what was in front of me was an orchard, an apple pie. Scream. Okay. Oh, wait. Isn't that? Oh, yeah, we really are at the end. I'm pretty sure that's the... yeah, that's the achievement for reading all the tips. So, yeah, we are right at the end. Alrighty, well... And now it's pouring again. Anyway, citizens, that is the end of chapter 11. I will be I'm assuming I'll be finishing... God, it's pouring. Finishing this tomorrow night at either 7 or 8, I believe EST, and, yeah. Icy Curves, good talking to you, and, yeah, I believe that's about everything, so... Until next time, everybody, this is going to have to be a farewell.